Recording.
What? It's
We're good
recording?
to go.
I can't hear you. You have to speak up a little bit.
We're good to go, Rabbi Kagan.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are recording? Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, ladies, I'm just reminding everyone I'm taking my mask off because we're at a distance from one another, but otherwise I would have my masks on. You don't need masks among yourselves, but for those of us that are coming from the outside world, we wear masks.
How are you going to just figure out how you're going to talk to them and have it recorded? Let's see how it looks.
It looks terrific.
Does it look okay?
Well,
You can't see it. Wait, can we just move in? No, you stay there and I'll play with the camera. You stay there 1 minute. The best angle.
So good looking.
I'm supposed to say that, not you.
Oh, sorry.
No, you can see it. Can you see it? Oh, you want that also on?
No, but you can see if you want to check it on check.
Okay, look at the girls as if you're talking to the girls.
I'm just as lost as everyone else about what's going on right now. So I don't think that, I also have no idea. Rabbi Kagan and Mrs. Kagan, what are you doing?
Can we get started?
Yeah.
Fine.
Go.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
started.
Stop interfering, Mrs. Kagan. Okay, so I just, this is a sort of, this is actually, even though, you know, the, you in front of me, the Brits are, we have an Israeli, where's our Israeli? Okay, we have the Brits and the token Israeli representative. We had a chance to speak a little bit yesterday, but this in a certain sense is going to be closer to the official commencement of Midrashet Ellul, because in addition to you who are in front of me,
Like in a big wedding hall, you know, you have
a big one, whatever, anyway.
or in a sports
Stadium, whatever. Anyway, in addition to you who are in front of me, we also have now the, in your eyes, foreign alien is also connecting up the Americans. And one Australian. It is a little bit different this year. Usually when we have this first talk, we're in this room, arranged differently, filled with people. Everybody arrives within a couple of hours of one another, and we're all together when we start. This year, we are starting quite scattered, actually. We have, again, you Brits, our Israeli representative here, living in an alternate reality just a few hundred yards from here, a number of Americans, and our Australian.
Is there water over here?
Yeah. But in addition to that, we have to understand that, let me get some water first. In addition, we want to understand that there are others that are part of Midrashet Ellul that are scattered far and wide. We have Ada Gindin in Los Angeles, who, as a result of the virus, was not able to get her passport on time. She'll be joining us in a few days. We have Rachel Joseph, who's in Jacksonville, Florida, who had a small medical procedure she had to go through. Baruch Hashem, looks like it's nothing too serious, so we hope to see her coming soon. Yael Sklar, who's stuck in New York because she had a little car accident and the doctor wanted her to wait a little longer. We'll see her. And we have actually Simi, Rachel, and Miriam in Caracas, Venezuela, who were not able to leave because there were no flights leaving the country. But they will be joining us in Mir Hashem also after the Chagim. So we're starting physically very scattered, but even though we're physically scattered, I think we are able to function very much as a united group also, because there is something which is not so visible. Visibly we're scattered, but there's something else which I think really unites us, which is not so visible and is hidden, which is ultimately what we all share, is a very powerful desire to have that seminary experience, that seminary year experience. With all that involves the Israel experience, meeting new friends, making new friends, learning to get used to Neve food, right? All that was a joke. Remember, we're English. Okay, fine, sorry, whatever. Anyway, but we have all those things, and all the things are important. They're all important. They will all. Midrash Ellul is famous. I mean, the very first year group, Midrash Ellul, has their own WhatsApp group, which probably doesn't impress you so much until you realize that WhatsApp wasn't invented until 15 years after they were out of seminary. But the friendships that are formed. I'm driving. I'm only going to drink one.
I didn't have any cups.
Okay, my cup runneth over, whatever. Anyway. No, but I think Madrid is really famous for the depth of the friendships that people form with one another. And we bless you all that this year will be no different in that regard. The reason why we would even think that it would be. But also, you're coming for teachers. You're coming for mentors. You're coming for Torah. What you're really coming for is to create a different kind of foundation for your future. If I was going to look for one word to capture, it's to have a meaningful life, which is the same thing as saying a life which is purposeful. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday, that it makes sense that God should create the world in such a way that seminary should begin in the month of Ellul, because this really is what Ellul is all about. The shofar, hearing that shofar, waking you all up 30 seconds before you're supposed to be in class, right? But that was another joke. Thank you, British, for, all right, whatever, anyway, yeah. But the idea of the shofar, as the Rambam says explicitly, Uru Yishenim, wake up you that are sleeping. What that means is really sleeping to a deeper part of yourselves. In a certain sense, you could use all kinds of languages to understand what it means to grow when you're at seminary, to find purpose. You want to learn right from wrong, an interest in righteousness. These words are important, but they don't necessarily speak to us, I want to be righteous. It sounds good. It doesn't necessarily have that power, that oomph to it. And it's worth talking about why it doesn't have that kind of oomph to it. But the reality is that it doesn't. And for that reason, it's better maybe, or worthwhile to focus also on what is ultimately just a synonym for that, which is that what we're looking for is a deeper life. We're looking for a richer life. What that means is, as much as we're talking about right and wrong and righteous and non-righteous, what we're talking about is there are all kinds of facets to my personality, and I can live on a very superficial level. I can live on a much deeper level, and to taste the sweetness of that deeper part of yourself is to become a completely changed person. When we talk about what we're here for seminary, when we talk about what we're when we're awakened to those hidden depths of ourselves that give life that sense of that sweet life, that sense of meaning. I don't know if it makes sense really to yeah. I'm not sure if I should be revealing this, since I'm really supposed to be somebody who's part of the staff of a seminary, but if I would tell you what if I was looking for one motto in life, my motto in life is to be selfish. I think it's very important to be selfish, but to be selfish in a smart way, right? What really makes my life worthwhile? It's like, happy wife, happy life. If you want to be selfish, make your wife happy, but happy life, right? Where does happiness really lie? It lies in achieving that sense of the fact that my life is significant, my life is meaningful. And seminary gives us the opportunity to discover those parts of ourselves, both inside of us and what we're doing in the world, to get that sense, to be able to taste that sweetness and that depth of meaning that really makes life worthwhile. We were at the Kotel last night. Have you remember? Not that far back, right? But I think for me, I was struck more than usual with just the beauty of the place. I mean, when you think it's just a bunch of rocks, I don't know, but I don't know, the stones are very, very beautiful, the way they're lit up at night. They're just sopping with meaning and history. But one of the other things was, maybe you weren't so surprised by it, but for someone who's been going to the Kotel for 40 years, I was shocked by the fact that they had partitioned the whole courtyard out with all these. You may not be, I mean, you're English, so you've probably been here frequently, so you also recognize that's different. But if you go to the Kotel, and you could go to the Kotel Cam on the web, for those of you who are not here yet, we'll get you all to the Kotel, don't worry. That's going to be our first priority. When the Americans get out of Bidud, we're taking them to the Kotel. when those latecomers, Sarit and Ada and Batsheva, when you get up, we're going to take you to the Kotel. Miriam and Simi and Rachel, when you get here from Venezuela, we're going to take you to the Kotel. You know, Rachel, Joseph, when you get here, we're going to take you to the Kotel. But you know, but one of the things you're going to see there is that the whole courtyard has been broken up into like little spaces because that's one of the criteria that the Ministry of Health has set out for people gathering. You can't gather in big groups. A lot of people come into Kotel, so they break them up into smaller groups. So, but it was shocking to see that it was. But what was just as shocking was to see how little it affected anybody that was there. You could see people just sort of. They were, you know, on one level, we're dividing people off from one another. On another, people were completely, almost oblivious to what amounted to for them as nothing more than a slight inconvenience. And basically, I think the reason for that is because they're all connected by a purpose. They're there for a reason. There's a larger purpose, which is just right in front of you in a way that you can't ignore or miss it. That Kotel and everything that Kotel represents, everybody was there for what that Kotel represented to them, and they were all united in that same purpose. It was easy. It was effortless to overcome with. If you have the wrong focus, you can be focused on this so disturbing. It's really not the way I'm used to it. I want something different. You could be scared from really that whole experience, but you see people were almost oblivious to it because the reason for being there was something that was so outstandingly in front of them the whole time. And the truth is, again, this is, you know, that's why you also, all of you are united also by a purpose, a joint purpose, that you're all here for everything that seminary experience implies, both as individuals, your own individual experience, and how much is going to be contributed to that beyond your dreams, the fact that we're doing it together as a group. But just as at the Kotel, you have all these little things there that can divide up that group into little sort of pieces that aren't together with one another. But in the context of the Kotel, those were completely almost invisible because everyone was united by that purpose. So also it's important to realize that for the very same reason that the seminary is starting so unusually this year, with the Brits and the Israelis here and the Americans in the building over there and the Venezuelans over there, right? That there are all kinds of obstacles or barriers to achieving what it is that we're all coming together to achieve. And yet, to the extent that we keep our eyes on that larger purpose, those obstacles just completely disappear. They become irrelevant. They become minor irritations rather than barriers that in any way need to interfere with, you know, what it is that we're here and what it is we're trying to accomplish. You should really take a moment. This is something that you cannot appreciate yourselves, but anyone standing on this side of the stender is very, very aware of. You have no idea how many obstacles stood in the way of your being able to sit here now contemplating a year together in seminary. It's the number of people. Let's start with this. I do not know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu had in mind when he set this virus free in the world. I have no idea. But I'm fairly confident one of the things he did not have in mind was that the yeshivas and the seminaries should not gather to be learning in Eretz Yisrael. And there are many, many people united in that assumption also, as a result of which there were many, many people that were working incredibly hard to make this a possibility, and really sort of, again, contemplating the number of things that have to be overcome to make this a possibility. You are living miracles, the fact that you're here. You know, whether we talk, and many people for many, many different reasons, without masa. Now the masa people are not religious necessarily. Their goal wasn't that you had to be here for seminary and yeshiva. Their goal was they knew that this year was meaningful. It meant a lot to you, and they worked like you can't believe to make it possible. There's an organization called the VAD of all the yeshivas together that created itself out of nothing, working night and day for weeks and weeks to make it possible for the yeshivas and for many of the seminaries to be able to get their entry permits to come here. They're people who you will probably never meet, to whom you owe an incredible debt of gratitude, but not just for the effort they put in. You have to know that what they accomplished was something that was almost unimaginable. The number of seemingly chance events that had to fall into place to make this happen is almost beyond comprehension. You're practically reading a Megillas Esther. Like you really are reading Megillas Esther. Even on our own, on a personal level, in terms of what's been going on in the staff in Midrashet Tehillah, we like the number of times we've organized the seminary this summer and had something change that required us to completely redo the thing. The number of things that stood in the way, the number of things that seemed insurmountable, the number of things that we put in incredible effort to try and overcome, running into barriers and walls, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, a moment before it was too late, suddenly everything fell into place. This happened countless times over the course of the summer. It was mind-boggling. You have to be aware that that purpose, which you are coming together here to do, to accomplish what a seminary year is about, to found your life on meaning, to be able to taste the sweetness of purpose. It's not only something that you want, something that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants also. It's something that a lot of people want. They want to facilitate for you, and everyone's coming together to make that a possibility. There have been incredible challenges to make it happen, but those challenges become minor irritations when you have that larger goal and that larger purpose, when it's like that gigantic wall towering over you, lit up with the plants coming out. Maybe someday we'll get there for a Nate's Minyan. You see the birds flying around, that beautiful sight of the Kotel, right? When you come there, in the same way, you've got this big wall right in front of you, which is really an invitation. It's almost like a wedding invitation, right? Come, have a relationship with me, right? With that wall there, with that vision of the purpose, all those obstacles just disappear into minor irritations. I think that's really, in a certain sense, what the theme of the year is about. But it's also really, it's very much what Ellul's about. I'm not going to go into this now. Everybody is, I can see already, exhausted, right? But not that I need to see it, because that's the time of the year. I told you before, I'm always very careful not to say anything terribly important when I'm speaking to you these first 3 or 4 months, because you're too tired to really be able to remember anything I'm going to say. But the bottom line is, Ellul and Purim parallel one another, if you think about it. The year begins twice. The year is going to begin for us on Rosh Hashanah. The year begins on Pesach. 2 different kinds of beginnings. We'll talk about both of them. And in both those beginnings, the end of the year is when it starts in Pesach. It ends in June. I'm not talking about the year. The same. The Pesach, if the Pesach is the beginning of the calendar year, meaning Nisan, when Adar, yeah, Adar, which is Purim, right? Purim's the end of the year, right? And when the year starts on Rosh Hashanah, which it does because it's called the Rosh of the Shana. So when does it end? Ellul, exactly. Ellul in the Torah has a name, right? Rosh Hashanah is called the Rashis of the Shana, the beginning of the year, which means that Ellul is the Achris, is the end of the year, right? We're at the end of the year. What that means is the end of the year is where the time we'll have a chance to talk about this in more detail. I'm just sort of starting out to give you a taste of scenes of coming attractions. But Ellul is the end of the year. It's the time when the inspiration of Rosh Hashanah is sort of sputtering out. You're losing it. As a result of that, you sort of taste the fact that you have a distance, but that taste of that distance gives you the motivation. This is something that I want to overcome. That's the energy of Ellul, is that passion to grab onto something that you know that you want, that you don't have, or that you can't see. Whatever you have about it is invisible. And we're moving towards a time when we can make it visible again, which is what Rosh Hashanah is all about. But what Ellul is all about is being far away, and yet, just like on Purim, we're far away, and yet we have all these miracles. Those miracles are hidden, but they come so thickly that you can't ignore them. We've had that kind of experience leading up to this moment now. That's what Ellul is all about also, where the realization there's something we want that we don't have. As a result of that, we can overcome anything that stands in our way. We welcome you all to Midrash Tehillah, whether you're sitting in the room over here from Britain, whether you're in exile over there in Building 5 from America and Australia, or whether you're still sitting in Venezuela. We welcome you when you'll be able to come, right? When they'll let you out of Venezuela, or in Los Angeles or Jacksonville, wherever, or New York, wherever you might be, right? We're very excited to be starting this year. And one of the things that makes it so exciting is you also, every one of you have had to overcome barriers to be able to come this year. The number of struggles that you've had to go through to make this a reality, all coming from that same place. There's a passion, there's a desire, there's a goal for that sweetness of purpose and meaning. And we look forward to the opportunity to spend this year together and move towards this. Welcome to Midrash Tihel. Okay. This Levy fell asleep. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's next on our agenda. We have at.
Hi, everyone.
Oh.
I didn't wake up. I was on the phone, all right, Kagan. Okay, everyone. So we have again a little bit of a break. I think these breaks are important in between Zoom sessions. So you can just like get up and walk around. We don't want you to get zoomed out before we even really get started with classes. So